Welcome to this explainer. Look, we're going to skip right past those basic plot summaries you can find anywhere on the internet. Instead, we are diving deep. We're going to equip you with the heavy-hitting analytical insights you actually need to confidently write a high-scoring essay on Oscar Wilde's absolute masterpiece, The Importance of Being Earnest. So, if you've got an English exam coming up, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to deconstruct the core themes, figure out those underlying motives, and really decode the brilliant narrative choices Wilde used to totally roast his own society. Let's get into it. All right, let's start with this incredibly cynical, but structurally crucial observation from Algernon. He casually drops this line: "The truth is rarely pure and never simple." And honestly, this single quote is the absolute perfect lens for viewing Wilde's entire subversion of Victorian honesty. You see, in a society that prized rigid morality and this whole idea of earnestness above literally everything else, Wilde uses Algernon to basically signal the audience right off the bat. He's telling us, hey, you're about to watch a play where truth is totally malleable. And deception, well, deception isn't just common here, it's practically an art form. Here's our essay blueprint for today's explainer. First, the satirical lens, then the economics of marriage, followed by Bunburying and identity, symbols like names and handbags, and finally, an exam synthesis to tie it all together. Moving right into section 1, the satirical lens, focusing on triviality versus seriousness. Let's look at how Wilde builds his core thematic argument before the curtain even goes up. Establishing tone in your essay is absolutely critical, and Wilde hands us a massive clue right on the title page. Just look at this subtitle, A Trivial Comedy for Serious People. It brilliantly captures his satirical intent from word one. His entire goal here is to treat trivial things with extreme seriousness and serious things with complete triviality. He is actively mocking the serious people of the Victorian era, the moralists, the didactics, the upper-class snobs, by presenting them with a comedy that elevates total nonsense to a matter of life and death. If you get an exam question on tone or satire, make sure you use this subtitle. It's your ultimate anchor evidence. As you read through the text, you're going to see this deliberate juxtaposition perfectly executed over and over again. On one hand, characters show this deep, profound anxiety over, say, cucumber sandwiches for Aunt Augusta, or they wage a fierce, high-stakes psychological war over sugar and cake at tea time. It's intense. But then, on the flip side, they'll casually treat the sudden death of a supposed alter ego as just a minor inconvenience. Or they'll view a holy sacrament like baptism as just a quick afternoon errand so they can change their first name. By completely flipping what society values as important, Wilde completely exposes the absurdity of upper-class priorities. Okay, on to section 2, the economics of Victorian marriage. Now, what's really fascinating here is how Wilde totally strips away the whole facade of romance to reveal the cold, hard, transactional nature of the Victorian marital institution. Early in the play, Algernon directly frames an engagement not as this beautiful culmination of true love, but as tedious business. He actually contrasts the word pleasure with the act of proposing. This perfectly sets the stage for Wilde's critique of upper-class marriage. Think about it. For the aristocracy, marriage was essentially a mechanism. It was a way to consolidate wealth, secure property, and lock in social standing. Romance? That was just the socially acceptable mask they slapped on top of a financial merger. So if you get an essay question about social class or marriage, you absolutely must bring up Lady Bracknell. I mean, she acts as the ultimate gatekeeper of high society. When she interviews Jack as a potential suitor for Gwendolen, she evaluates him purely on his income, his investments, his political leanings, and his addresses in town and country. She doesn't care one bit about his moral character or how much he loves her daughter. She's essentially auditing him. Wilde is showing us that Victorian high society is a closed, ruthless market, and Lady Bracknell is basically the CEO. Let's shift gears to section 3, Bunburying, deception, and identity. We're going to focus on a central narrative choice that drives the entire plot and offers you incredibly rich material for character analysis. In a world where honesty is actually a liability, Wilde introduces Bunburying, a term explicitly defined by Algernon. It represents the necessary deception a person needs just to find a little freedom in such a highly moralistic society. By inventing a perpetually sick friend named Bunbury, Algernon can escape agonizingly boring dinner parties. And Jack, well, he invents a wildly wicked brother named Earnest so he can take a break from the exhausting high moral tone he has to maintain down in the country. Bunburying is Wilde's brilliant way of showing us that when society demands impossible perfection, hypocrisy literally becomes your only logical survival strategy. Take a look at this table. It maps out the brilliant foils Wilde created between these two men. Jack is deeply hypocritical, right? He pretends to be this upstanding, respectable guardian in the country, but he lives a profligate double life in London. He wants to have his cake and eat it too, while keeping his public image absolutely flawless. Algernon, on the other hand, openly embraces his rule-breaking. He admits to Bunburying, he admits to eating all the cucumber sandwiches, and he views the whole world with this unabashed cynicism. Ironically, this actually makes the deceitful Algernon the more honest and self-aware of the two characters. That is a fantastic nuance to bring up in a character comparison essay. Furthermore, Wilde is explicitly subverting typical Victorian didactic literature here. You know the type? In traditional 19th century books, the bad guys are punished and the good guys are rewarded. Notice Miss Prism on the left. She totally embodies this strict punitive moralizing when she rigidly declares, "As a man sows, so let him reap." But Wilde completely rejects that premise. He juxtaposes her with Algernon's completely unpunished, highly amusing lack of moral responsibility. Algernon lies, cheats, and manipulates his way right into Cecily's home, and instead of facing consequences, he gets exactly what he wants. Wilde is just gleefully dismantling the era's moral compass here. Moving on to Section 4, Symbolism, specifically names and handbags. Now, the key to a truly high-scoring analytical essay is moving beyond just what the characters say and diving into the deeper meaning of Wilde's physical symbols. Let's start with the name Earnest. As Gwendolen explicitly states here, her ideal is to love someone of the name of Earnest. She doesn't actually love Jack for who he is. She loves him because she believes his name is Earnest. The name itself is a massive symbol for the era's obsession with the mere appearance of morality and sincerity. This obsession completely blinds both Gwendolen and Cecily to the glaring fact that their suitors are actively lying right to their faces. They demand the label of earnestness without caring one bit about actual earnestness. In fact, Gwendolen practically hands you Wilde's core thesis statement on a silver platter here. In matters of grave importance, style, not sincerity, is the vital thing. When Algernon and Jack are finally caught in their lies, the women don't actually care about the truth. No, they care that the men give them a beautifully styled, romantic excuse. In this high society, superficial aesthetics, like having the right name, wearing the right clothes, or delivering a beautiful apology, matters infinitely more than actual truth. This, my friends, is the very definition of aestheticism. And then we have the handbag. Jack being discovered as an infant in a black leather handbag in the Victoria Station cloakroom is just a hilarious, deeply subversive symbol. It aggressively mocks the extreme importance these aristocrats placed on bloodlines and pedigree. Lady Bracknell is absolutely horrified, literally comparing his origins in a handbag to the worst excesses of the French Revolution. It's a brilliant physical manifestation of Jack's total lack of social capital. He literally has baggage instead of a family tree. All right, final section, Section 5, Acing Your Analytical Exam. Let's bring all of this textual evidence together and construct those overarching arguments that are really going to impress your teachers and get you those top marks. You might want to grab a screenshot of this or jot these down. You can adapt these 4 synthesis points directly into your essay blueprints, using them as your core thesis statements depending on whatever specific prompt you get. If your prompt is about society, use the satire point, Wilde exposing Victorian morality as superficial artifice. If it's about relationships, focus on the economics of marriage. If the question asks about identity, dive into Bunburying and how strict societies forced people into hypocrisy. And for questions on narrative style, focus on aestheticism and how Wilde actively mocks moralizing literature by championing style over sincerity. And finally, we arrive at the resolution. Jack's final realization, after discovering his real name actually is Earnest, and he's been telling the truth by accident this whole time, brings the entire narrative full circle. It perfectly proves that this society absurdly rewards accidental truth just as much as it demands intentional deception. Think about it. He gets the girl, he gets the money, and he gets the social standing. Not because he grew or matured as a person, but because of a convenient clerical error made by Miss Prism 28 years ago. So I'll leave you with this practice prompt to chew on for your exam prep. How does this brilliant final pun, the importance of being earnest, ultimately prove that Wilde's elite society is entirely devoid of genuine earnestness? Think about how these characters learn absolutely nothing moral, yet are completely rewarded by the system anyway. Use the points we've covered today, structure your arguments around Wilde's subversion of Victorian ideals, and you are absolutely going to crush your analysis. Good luck and keep digging into the text.